All right, you guys, we are back. It's your boy Q, and up next we have The Addiction That Destroyed Drake's Career. Shout out to Hip Hop Madness for the video. Yeah, man, Drake is definitely in unfamiliar territory right now. But enough dilly-dallying, we're going to jump right into the video. Again, it's entitled The Addiction That Destroyed Drake's Career.
I think that people have been making fun of him for such a long time that he has really internalized all that.
These talks of him being corny didn't just start yesterday or lame. A lot of this stuff has been like echoed throughout the culture for a long time, especially early on. He kind of did change a lot of the narrative, like a few years into it, you know, he kind of filled out. And honestly, I feel like his platform got so big that people kind of had to deal with him because people wanted that Drake verse. People wanted that relationship solid. Some of these people's biggest records happen to have him featuring. So I could see why at the time you kind of like, you use him and then he leaves and then everyone kind of starts talking like about him probably, you know? Because honestly, it really does seem like this has been like brewing for a minute. People have felt this way for a very long time. It's just that now there's a crack in the armor and it's easier than ever to like attack somebody when they're down right now and down bad.
And that dictates the way he probably moves behind the scenes. I'm your girl,
that's why smashing everybody's chick.
Your girl, because you treated me like this. You think I wasn't cool enough. He's been holding a lot close to the chest.
People get very resentful.
Industry, do not try to everybody's. That is not true. You introduce him to your girl, extra friendly, smiling. And he do that, exchanging.
He does that so not just like musical colleagues. If he goes to the bank and he sees that the bank's teller's wife is bad, he'll probably do some snake shit there too.
19, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70 times. And it ain't just rappers. The athletes, the actors, the golfers, the executives, the tech people.
What is the real
fatality? No one came to defend him. Like, look back, and the only people that really said something, what, Birdman? Really not too many others. Maybe like a Jay Prince, but yeah, not really too much.
Issue with you and marriage. Now I got to dig in and see, what's your family like? Oh, your dad left you at 5. Oh, I get that. He never walked you to the bus stop. You're mad about this.
Since the beginning of his career, Drake's relationship with women has always been at the forefront of his music. Whether his songs were about going through a breakup, occasionally depicting himself as sensitive, or outright portraying himself as a simp, Drake seemed to genuinely admire women. But over time, things drastically changed until the point he morphed into the self-proclaimed certified lover boy. From venting his feelings of loneliness to an ex on Marvin's Room, through to accusations of rampant misogyny on the 21 Savage-assisted Her Loss, even Drizzy's claim that the only woman he loves is his mom on God's Plan was a drastic departure from when he was actively trying to settle.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the cringiest scenes ever. That moment on the stage when he professes his love to Rihanna. Obviously, it wasn't like it was unrequited because like she could tell she felt uncomfortable.
But where the good guy image was once intact and helped skyrocket his career to the top, that's long gone now and replaced with the perception that, as Kendrick said, Drizzy doesn't even like women. In fact, he only values them when it comes to sexual gratification and as a way to have a one-up on his enemies and friends. In short, there's now
you missed the next part, man. You might pop with him.
I believe that Drake has a serious sex addiction, which has basically created the predicament he finds himself in today.
He presents himself as like this smart, composed, thoughtful businessman, but if you're your friends' girls, you're not them for them, by the way. There's tons of bad. You're not just doing it to get a nut.
Facts.
You're facts. That's what you're doing. It sounds crazy, but that's what it's about. I'm gonna do something.
It's a power play. It's definitely a power play.
Something that I know that I'm gonna have over you.
Oh yeah, okay.
Smash your
Currently
chick.
operating in a state that may fill a void inside him while deviating from the image that first made him successful, Drake has made it clear that he's not a one-woman man at this point in his life, nor does he plan to change that. And while that makes him no different from many other superstars, the problem for the Sixth God is that there's a feeling of spite and self-sabotage to how he goes about it that has nearly destroyed his career several times over. So, let's break down the roots of
Schultz did have a good point. There is so many like women that you could date that aren't like your colleagues, like current girlfriend, prior girlfriend, you know, like mistress. Dude, that can topple an empire. If you look how these people crash out, look how Party crashed out over an ex, and God knows when they stopped talking.
This addiction and how it's been hiding in plain sight for a long time now. When you pattern yourself as a ladies' man, it's really no surprise that you might ruffle some feathers or act impulsively when things don't go your way. Just look at what happened in the aftermath of Drake flying a fresh-faced Ice Spice out to OVO Fest, only to suddenly cut ties with her when it appeared he didn't get what he wanted out of her.
It's been speculated that Drake unfollowed you afterwards. Do you want to tell us some tea on that?
He did. I don't know why, though.
Shame on you, Drake. Shame on you. You shouldn't have done that.
happy to ghost someone in an instant, Drake's objectives with up-and-comers like Ice come into focus when you see how much he prides himself on being a bachelor. So, when he doesn't get his way, his superstardom allows him to move in a way without any consequences. And this behavior was further highlighted in an interview with Angie Martinez, where French Montana basically lifted the lid on how Drake operates.
Yes. There's people with more reputation than me.
Drake is close. So you and Drake are friends.
Splash Bros. Snipe Squad. You know he gave me the Snipe Squad thing. 10 rules, 10 snipe commandments. Thou shalt not snipe a bro's ting. Thou shalt.
Facts. Coming from Drake, that's crazy because it's so hypocritical too, isn't it?
I'll never pillow talk or discuss business with a ting. On any import from the United States, Canada, or any other region, thou shalt practice a maximum 3-day export rule to avoid frustration. You fly anybody in, give them 3 days so you can avoid frustration. 3 days maximum.
With Drake basically retaining the mindset of a man in his 20s, it explains why Drizzy also doesn't care whose toes he steps on, including sniping someone.
Somebody, a viewer actually pointed that out, that he mentally he could be stunted back in during that age, like those developing years when he felt like he wasn't really getting any action, and that kind of does something to this person once you get this like flood of just yeses and whatever you want. Like, dude, that narcissism that builds up probably is incredible. Like, no one really tells him no. So when he does hear no, like how he acts, he'll act petty and unfollow and throw a sub or crazy.
Someone else's ting. Take for instance the story of Naomi Sharon. Unlike Ice Spice, it's believed that she welcomed Drake's advances despite being in an 8-year relationship. To make matters worse, Drake had worked out with her then boyfriend just days before, only to later post an IG picture after the story broke captioned, "Without remorse." Dirty. Imagine having the most beautiful, supportive, and faithful relationship 8 years long with an engagement and wedding plan. Her former fiance, Jamie Sun, said. Then this major opportunity comes and a world star calls your fiance to sign a record deal. Flies you both over, and then, out of nowhere, all the trust has vanished with knives in your back and in your heart. I am no longer with the person people think I am together with. I am no longer with the 8 years I thought I was together with.
Dang.
With someone like Jamie participating in the music industry at a lower level, Drake clearly had no concerns.
Yeah, he'll still son him and give you a bar somewhere where like, how are you gonna turn me down for a person that's like, that I'm more popping than? Crazy.
Came to trampling over his life to get what he wanted. But even though he got away with just a bit of reputational damage that time, recently, it's become clear that Drake's promise to French Montana about never getting involved with someone else's girl was just talk. Because when you look back, Drake has a habit of bringing women into almost all of his beefs with other rappers. And in the view of one of his biggest supporters and academics, this is where Drake has been a habitual line crosser.
I keep asking people and they're like, yo, listen, man, Drake's a little sloppy with it. All these guys, they share the same crop of girls.
Of course.
It's a thin line between...
Yeah, it's like the same thing like with NBA players. The same thing with like probably every sport. Every sport has like the same few chicks that just happen to date all the dudes. It's crazy.
Like, yo, these are like the community chicks that we all... And, yo, you're doing certain... to kind of like disrespect.
In Axe View, this has always been a key part of how Drake has operated, long before it led Future to call him a fan on We Don't Trust You. Case in point, just look at why his decade-long feud with CB started.
Imagine how bold Drake was when Drake sends a bottle over there with a note that says, I'm the love of your life. That was supposedly the note. And right then, beef starts. So Drake is in the club, supposedly with Meek and some other people, and Chris Brown is there. And Drake sends a thing over to be like, I'm the love of your life.
Drake is a savage.
Yeah, you gotta keep the girl away from Drake.
Back when Drake and Chris...
Yeah, man. I guess he did that to like this one dude, some IG comic. He was with his shorty, and like even there, then no one's safe, man. Like, I don't think he really values his relationships like enough to like not act this way.
Chris had some bad blood over Rihanna. The whole thing likely made things awkward at parties, but didn't really spill out onto record or really even enter the public consciousness at the time. But that hasn't always been the case. And much like his dispute over Princess Diana with Future, it was his decision to mess with other people's girls that led his ghostwriting scandal with Quentin Miller to come to light in the first place. In turn, creating a narrative.
Shout out to Quentin, man. That dude, super dope rapper, super dope artist. He wrote on, if you're reading this, it's too late. I want to say he wrote Energy and a bunch of records for Drake on that album. And like his career never really ended up taking form. You know, he kind of like a lot of things happened to him. I want to say he lost a leg. Like the dude has had a tough life after that. Like all because he didn't want to write for Meek. He basically was like he wrote those Drake tracks to get like money basically to feed his fam. But he really wanted to be an artist. And sometimes you can get pigeonholed as a writer. I'm guessing he didn't want to fall into that, but like the fact that after all was said and done, it kind of like no one really gave a fuck about like the ghostwriting for a while, and he kind of got ostracized out the industry, which is crazy. And he actually kept it solid, man. It was like Drake that kind of switched up on him, messed up.
That's haunted him ever since.
That's how the whole thing started with even the reference tracks. DJ Drama says, bro, he didn't write that. The guy in my studio in Atlanta, he recorded it, too. And Drake just sang it over. That's how that starts. So two guys who thought Drake their chicks basically created that moment.
But while all of these incidents could have been damaging to his career, if you need to look at how far Drake will push it when it comes to women, look no further than him betraying his very own mentor when he was at his lowest.
Was it Tammy?
A story that was brought to light in a bar by Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. The allegations that Drake on Wayne's girl when he was in jail have actually...
Well, that's the rumor on why he actually went and got that Wayne tattoo or something like that.
Actually been around for a while. And to Weezy's credit, he's done his best to shoot Drake some bail.
Oh, I wasn't worried about that. That's just how life go when you locked up. She still be texting me and stuff, you know?
Still
However, this is only one side of the real story that never gets reported. Because as Weezy disclosed in his autobiography, this actually took a real toll on him. As a man, he wrote, I woke up still feeling messed up about the fucked up day that I had. Hell is what it was. I'm used to arguing with my girl on a daily basis, but finding out that she'd messed with Drake was the absolute worst thing I could have found out. Seemingly happy to backstab.
Damn, it's crazy. And then he's in jail where he can only really sit with his thoughts. Probably make it even a crazier situation.
One of the people who had done the most for his career, this would point to the sheer depths of Drake's issues when it comes to his addiction. But as for how Drake's addiction manifested in the first place, there's a couple of theories, but both boil down to the same thing. It's his way of getting back at the tough times in his youth, or proving everyone wrong who doubted that a suburban Jewish kid from Toronto could make it big in hip-hop. And during an in-depth conversation on the Joe Budden podcast, they weighed in on how people's perceptions of him influenced his tendency to forget his loyalties and go after women who should be off limits.
Let's have a real conversation about how talk about Drake behind the scenes and how people in the...
Yeah, none of this was really a secret. I feel like everyone sort of knew. It's just that, yo, man, the cracks in the armor started showing up.
Industry talk about Drake and how they view him. View Drake like he's a corny who grew up not getting no... And now he got money and now he's able to afford that, right?
Left with a deficit.
A good take, Imani. Good take.
He's now trying to make up for it. This explains some of the recklessness in how Drake pursues women. Because for him, it's personal and a way to further assert his place at the top.
Bottom line is, most of these in the industry that have grown up a certain way don't like that this moves in the fashion he moved because they never had a respect for him. You just said that a lot of the industry...
It's the corny kid that wins and now you have to like work with him.
Do that. A lot of in the industry do not try to everybody's... That is not true. You introduce him to your girl, extra friendly, smiling.
And he do that
exchanging numbers.
19, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70 times. And it ain't just...
He probably did it to Joe, too. The way he's reacting. I mean, look at his face. That's definitely the face of a man who's like, chick was sniped by Drake.
Just rappers, the athletes, the actors, the golfers, the executives, the tech people.
The difference is you might be more comfortable being way more vocal about that you never respected than the other...
While Joe Budden thinks that this is all about how he's been treated in the game and is now trying to get back, others feel it goes deeper than just rap. According to Nadeska and Ebro, it goes back to how he's been treated by the world as a whole, not just the industry.
He was... People will call him lame all the freaking time.
Because when the world has looked down on him or made him a figure of sad boy memes, being the guy who could steal your girl in a moment's notice is his way of proving himself as the star he always saw himself as.
I think that people have been making fun of him for such a long time that he has really internalized all that. And that dictates the way he probably moves behind the scenes.
You get programmed.
Your girl, and your girl, and your girl, because you treated me like this. You think I wasn't cool enough. He's been holding a lot close to the chest.
Due to social media and people listing all of the people, it was like a list of 40 people that Drake either has problems or has had problems with. Right. The women, the men, the women have decided to be with. At a certain point, you start going, wait, it can't be everybody.
Of course, man. You're the common denominator usually is the one.
Else, bro.
But above all, it's not just Drake's obvious over-reliance on sex that's the issue, nor even his ruthless backstabbing of his enemies. The real problem is how his behavior and personal circumstances have shaped a negative attitude towards women that threatens to be his downfall. Because from Pusha T to Kendrick Lamar, every time that he's been forced to take an L in a battle is when he comes at someone's spouse or fiance. And in Push's view, this goes all the way back to the trials and tribulations of his youth.
Now I gotta dig deeper. What is the real issue with you in marriage. Now I gotta dig in and see what's your family
Freudian.
like. Oh, your dad left you at 5. Oh, I get that. And he never walked you to the bus stop. You're mad about this.
Left without a strong role model and instead given a father who's still chasing girls himself to this day in a slightly creepy way, it explains why Drake.
Joe Jackson would do the same thing. He would kind of like, a lot of times they'd go, yeah, if you want to meet my son, like, you're gonna have to literally go through me, type of thing. Very, 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 very weird and very, very manipulative and very, very nasty work. But yeah, man, crazy.
Thinks nothing of getting involved with someone else's girl, nor discrediting someone else's wife. While for someone like Pusha, Kendrick, or even A$AP Rocky, who adopted the Drizzy beef after lines about his wife from For All the Dogs, this wouldn't be an option.
It's crazy. No one really cared
creating
about
the sense
that.
that Drake may have plenty of relationships with women, but doesn't ultimately.
No one really cared about the A$AP Rocky verse. That came and went super fast. I don't think really anybody paid Rocky's like this any mind.
Ultimately respect them. Left embarrassed by his own actions and with his peers now calling him out, Drake's gotten a serious wake-up call to change his ways. Because if he doesn't, this addiction might destroy his career, his legacy, and maybe even his life.
Oh yeah, man. That is deep. But yeah, I do feel like the reason why a lot of these people aren't defending him is because of the said fact that, like, oh, you can't go around smashing everyone's chicks. I've said that in multiple videos. Like, women have been in the center of so many beefs and wars and toppled empires and all that stuff. Like, fam, like, every time somebody a good portion of the time, like when somebody's crashing out, it's like over a woman, you know? So yeah, this is something that, like, maybe it is really too little too late, because you've already gone through and you've already done a lot of damage to a lot of these relationships that you've had. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does repair that. But yeah, it does seem like a lot of this stuff is internalized from all those years of being called lame and trying to prove a point that, nah, how can I be lame if I'm smashing your chick? You're moving like a snake, man. You're moving like a snake. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button, guys. Does the channel wonders. Thank you guys so much for watching. The channel's doing freaking dope. The love has been dope, man. And it's all because of you guys. Yeah, dialogues are freaking amazing. But I hope you guys love the video, and I hope to see you guys soon.